Good morning children, welcome to social science class. In today's class you are going to learn Lithosphere, the second chapter from geography. Knowledge is power, information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society and in every family. Come children, let us gain knowledge. In today's class, you are going to learn the meaning of lithosphere and its importance, the structure of the earth and its composition like the crust, the mantle and the core. And then you will learn the meaning of rocks and the structure of rocks, types of rocks like igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. Forces of the earth's crust. Under this, you have internal and external forces. The internal forces are volcanoes. Types of volcanoes. Under that, you will learn meaning of volcanoes, active volcanoes, dormant volcanoes, and extinct volcanoes. Let us start the lesson. Lithosphere. The outermost solid layer of the earth is called lithosphere. This layer is very thick in the continents and quite thin under the seafloor. It consists of rocks, minerals, soil, etc. Life exists on this layer with the help of the atmosphere and the hydrosphere. Continents are the parts of lithosphere. Different landforms like mountains, plateaus, plains, etc. are found here. The earth is made up of several concrete layers. The earth's layer is Earth's crust with the lithosphere. Let us study in detail about the other parts of Earth. Our planet Earth is more than 4.6 billion years old and still in the process of changing. Man is in a quest of understanding this change and eager to know more about inside the earth. So we are all curious, what is inside the earth is still a mystery for a man. With years of study and research, human beings have been able to get information about the materials inside the earth up to 10 to 12 kilometers. Going beyond this depth is very difficult due to the increase of temperature. Do you know children, 1 degree Celsius every 32 meters will increase. To understand more about the earth's interior, humans are dependent on indirect evidences such as seismic waves, volcanic materials, etc. So what is there inside the earth? The earth's interior comprises of various materials in different forms. On the basis of density of material, chemical composition and physical state of the matter, that earth's interior is classified into three main layers. They are the crust, the mantle and the core. So layers of the earth, the crust, the mantle and the core. So topmost is a crust and in between we have mantle and inside we have core. So these are the three main layers of the earth. So let us know how it is formed and what is there in these layers in detail. The crust, the very important part. The crust is the uppermost layer of the earth. It is rich in silica, aluminum and magnesium. The depth of this layer is 60 kilometers from the surface. The upper layer is the crust and it is called seal because it is made up of silica and aluminum. Seal or continental crust. The lower part of the crust is rich in silica and magnesium and it is called seema or oceanic crust. The crust is called lithosphere because it is a sphere of solid rocks. Crust is only 1% of Earth's mass and contains all known life in the universe. The crust is a relatively thin layer of rocks with the thickness of 60 kilometers below high mountains and just 5 to 10 kilometers below the oceans. Considering the size of the earth, the crust is a relatively thin layer. The temperature of the upper part of the oceanic crust has been estimated at 0 degree, but it is gradually starts rising towards the interior. The weight and pressure of rocks also starts increasing with the depth. The lower part of the crust is rich in silica, as I said, and magnesium, and it is called seema or oceanic crust. It is a short form. Seema is a short form for silica and magnesium. I hope you have understood. The crust is made up of aluminum, silica, and magnesium. The depth of this layer is 60 kilometers from the surface. Upper layer is called seal or continental crust, and lower layer is called seema or oceanic crust. Let us move to mantle. The mantle is the second and the middle layer of the earth. The depth of this layer is up to 2,900 kilometers from the surface. The materials are in semi-liquid or partially molten state, which is called magma. The mantle is composed of dense and rigid rocks which have predominance of minerals like magnesium and iron. The mantle has two parts, upper mantle and lower mantle. The contact zone of the crust and the mantle is called Metamorphic discontinuity or MOHO, while the boundary that separates the mantle from the core is called Gutenberg discontinuity. Here, the rocks are different in chemical composition from those below and above. The mantle is divided, as I said, two parts, the upper mantle and the lower mantle. The upper mantle extends from the Moho discontinuity to depth of 700 kilometers. It is cooler and made of solid rocks. The lower mantle extends from 700 kilometers to 2,900 kilometers. Lower mantle is hotter and denser than the upper mantle. At the depth around 100 to 410 kilometers, the mantle is partially molten and it is known as asthenosphere. Lower mantle is solid due to high pressure. At the pressure as the pressure increases towards the interior of the earth, the density also increases. The temperature varies between about 1000 degrees Celsius to 3700 degrees Celsius. Let us move to the next one, that is core. Core. Core is the innermost layer of the earth. The core is the densest part of the earth. It is also divided into outer and inner core. The entire core is about 7,000 kilometers in diameter. The temperature ranges from about 4,400 degrees Celsius to about 6,000 degrees Celsius. It is generally believed that the core is composed of iron and nickel with, with its responsible for Earth's magnetism. The magnetic field is oriented towards north and south poles. The solid state of the inner core is due to high density and pressure which have comprised the molten rock materials. The seismic waves disappear in the outer core which suggests it is in molten state. It contains nickel and ferrous, hence it is called NIFE, N-I-F-E. The outer core is known as molten core where the material are in liquid and in molten form. The inner core is known as solid core. Children, you can see in this figure, see that interior parts of the earth, crust, outer layer, and then next to that we have mantle, and after that we have inner core. That means the outer core and inner core. Core is divided into inner core and outer core. Inner core is solid and it is made up of nickel and ferrous, hence it is called NIFE. Short form is NIFE. We'll move on to the next. After understanding interior parts of the earth, let us come to rocks. Very interesting part. We think that rocks are created easily. No, the formation of rocks will take long duration and it is formed due to various changes which occurs on the earth, and not only on the earth, even the interior parts of the earth also responsible for the formation of rocks. So let us understand how the rocks are formed and what are the types of rocks. Rocks are the solid inorganic substances that are found in the crust of the earth. They are aggregates of minerals. Rocks are formed due to various natural processes. On the basis of mode of formation, it is classified into three types. What are those? Igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Once again I'll repeat, rocks are classified into three types. They are igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Let us know how these rocks are formed. First we'll come to igneous rocks. Igneous rocks. The word igneous is derived from the Latin word ignis, meaning fire. These rocks were formed due to the cooling, solidification, and crystallization of hot molten material of the earth known as magma, found at great depths in the interior of the earth. The chemical composition of these rocks varies from aluminum silicate minerals like quartz and feldspar to granite and rhyolite, collectively known as sialic rocks. Since the igneous rocks were the first to be formed, they are called primary rocks. They form the basis of formation of other types of rocks. What are the characteristics of igneous rocks? Igneous rocks are hard and compact. They are formed by solidification of molten magma. They are granular and crystalline. They are either fine-grained, smooth and compact, or may have large crystals with coarse texture. The size of their crystals depends upon the rate of cooling of the molten material. These rocks are less affected by chemical weathering because water does not percolate in these rocks. Most of them consist of silicates. They do not have layers. They are generally weathered by mechanical weathering. Igneous rocks are associated with volcanic activity and are found mostly in volcanic regions. And in this igneous rocks, we have two types. Igneous rocks are classified into intrusive igneous rock and extrusive igneous rocks. What is intrusive igneous rocks? When the molten materials of Earth's interior do not reach the Earth's surface, they cool and solidify below the surface and called intrusive igneous rocks. These rocks are made of large crystals and are found at great depth of inside the earth. Example: granite, diorite and gabbro. And the next is extrusive igneous rocks. As I said that these both are from volcanic mountains. Rocks formed by solidification of magma above the Earth's surface are known as extrusive igneous rocks. These rocks are generally fine grained or glassy because lava, after reaching the surface of the earth, cools and solidifies quickly. Example for extrusive igneous rocks are basalt and andesite. Let us move on to sedimentary rocks. Next is sedimentary rocks. How these rocks are formed means, before I should say the formation of rocks, let us know what is the meaning of sedimentary. The word sedimentary is derived from the Latin word sedimentum, which means settling down. Sedimentary rocks are formed by the agency of water, wind and ice. When igneous rocks are exposed on the surface of the earth, they are broken down by weathering and carried away by forces of gradation like rivers, glaciers, and ocean waves. They are then deposited as sediments. Any exposed rock, due to the various agents of erosion, may weather or disintegrate it. The sediments are deposited over long periods in sea, lakes and streams, etc. Subsequent layers are added and due to their own weight form from above, the sediments get cemented together to form sedimentary rocks. They are secondary because they are formed by the solidification of sediments of original igneous, sedimentary or metamorphic parent rocks. So, children, igneous rocks are called primary rocks and sedimentary rocks are called secondary rocks. What are the characteristics of sedimentary rocks? Sedimentary rocks are formed from material derived from other rocks. They may also have plant and animal remains. These rocks may thus contain fossils. They may be formed through different processes and are also classified on the basis of their formation. The process that turns loose sediments into rocks is called lithification. They are most widespread on the surface of the earth and continue about 75% of the surface area of the globe. Sedimentary rocks are generally not crystalline. They are soft and layered as they are formed by deposition of sediments. The different types of sediments are consolidated and compacted by different types of cementing elements like calcium, silica, etc. Sedimentary rocks make extensive landforms and they do not make massive rock forms like batholiths and laccoliths. Let us know different sedimentary rocks formed out of different conditions. Sedimentary rocks are formed mechanically and chemically and organically. So mechanically formed sedimentary rocks are sandstone and shale. Chemically formed sedimentary rocks are salt, rock salt and gypsum. And organically formed sedimentary rocks are limestone and coal. Let us know how it is done. Mechanically formed sedimentary rocks. Rocks built up by fragments of pre-existing rocks which have been produced by the process of weathering and erosion. Example, sandstone, which is also known as arenaceous rocks, and shale, which is known as argillaceous. Chemically formed sedimentary rocks. Chemically formed sedimentary rocks. How it is formed is chemical sediments are commonly formed by the process of evaporation of water containing salts in solution. Example, rock salt and gypsum. Organically formed sedimentary rocks. Organically formed sedimentary rocks are those derived from the accumulation of remains of organisms such as shells of marine organisms, remains of plants and animals. Example, limestone, which is also called calcareous rocks, and coal, which is known as carbonaceous rocks. And after this, let us come to the next form, that is metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks. The word metamorphic is derived from metamorphos, which means change in the form. Metamorphism refers to the alteration of the composition or structure of a rock by heat, pressure, or other natural agency. The rocks were once igneous or sedimentary, which underwent change through physical or chemical process. Example, the factors that take part in changing the form of rocks are temperature and pressure, or sometimes both. Since rocks are composed of minerals, these may change their composition and texture under great pressure and temperature. Let us know the characteristics of metamorphic rocks. They are harder and more compact than the original form. For example, marble-made form limestone is harder than limestone. Most of them are impermeable. They do not allow water to percolate through them. They do not have fossils, as fossils in sedimentary rocks are destroyed during the formation of metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks are formed due to change in texture and composition of the pre-existing rocks. New minerals are formed during the process of metamorphism. Example for metamorphism are granite will turn into gneiss, basalt will turn into schist, limestone will turn into marble under metamorphic condition, sandstone will turn into quartzite, coal will turn into graphite, graphite once again will become diamond. Metamorphic rocks are the hardest rocks on the earth, and these rocks supply precious stones like sapphire, ruby, emerald and diamonds, etc. In the picture you can see the different one. The first one is marble, second one is slate, and third one is gneiss, and fourth one is quartzite. And after finishing about the rocks, let us come to the internal forces, the very interesting. In internal forces, for this year you are going to learn only about volcanoes. Internal forces. These are the forces which originate inside the crust and influence the surface features of the earth. Example, volcanoes, earthquakes, etc. The internal force is also called endogenic forces. Volcano. A volcano is a vent or a narrow opening in the earth's crust connected by a pipe to an underlying magma chamber through which magma, rock fragments, lava, ash, steam, flames, and other gases are emitted from the interior of the earth. Definition: volcano is an opening in the surface or crust of earth which allows hot molten rock, ash and gases to escape from deep below the surface. Children, you know what are the volcanic materials? The materials ejecting out from volcanoes are three types. They are solid, liquid and gases. What are the solid things? Volcanic bombs, cinders, pumice, dust, ash are volcanic materials which comes in the solid form. And liquid is lava. And the gases sulfur, hydrogen and carbon dioxide. In this figure you can see the structure of volcano. All the volcanic mountains are not having peaks. The edges of the mountains are blunt. Why? That you will come to know when I explain in detail about volcano. Please go through the structure. Under you have a magma chamber where the molten magma is there, and the orange color thing, these are called vent or pipe, which is a space to exit lava. And then top you can see that one funnel shaped is there. This is crater. The peak of the mountain is blunted due to the exit of magma, and due to the temperature of magma the peak is gone and it has become blunt. Here you can see the funnel shaped hollow, and this is called crater. And then after this you have side vents. Always the volcano magma will not eject in the straight one. Wherever it finds a space and it tries to move in that, so that is direct vent, and also side vents are there. So let us study in detail about volcano. Products of volcano. A volcano erupts a number of products like steam, gases, molten rock, dust, ashes and other liquid and solid matters, magma and lava. The molten rock material inside the earth is known as magma. When it reaches the surface of the earth, it is known as lava. It contains of many materials and gases. Steam is the most abundant gas that comes out of a volcano. When steam is ejected in huge quantities in the form of, it forms clouds in the atmosphere resulting in rainfall. Other gases ejected by volcanoes include hydrogen, sulfide, sulfur oxide and carbon dioxide and hydrogen. And solid matters. The solid fragments are rock pieces known as pyroclast. The fine particles are called dust. The dust particles go on increasing in size. The small stone-sized particles are called lapilli, and violent eruptions known as bombs eject more materials. The rock fragments that a volcano erupts do not originate from the magma chamber but are picked up by the magma in the course of its upward movement. Let us come to the structure of a volcano. The very hot material that the volcano pours out creates both the inside the earth and on the surface structures typically of particular shape of eruption. The eruption may take place quickly or violently. Vent. The lava flows out through an opening in the earth's crust called vent. The opening is usually like a circle pipe. There may be only one opening at the summit. However, subsidiary vents are formed during repeated eruptions, as I said that side vents. And volcanic cone. The erupted fluid material, being hot, collects around the vent and begins to cool gradually and solidifies. The accumulation of material around the vent gives to the volcano its typical cone like shape known as volcanic cone. These are actually landforms of volcano which we will see and discuss some subsequently. The funnel-shaped hollow at the top of the cone of a volcano is called crater. A large basin-shaped crater bounded by steep sides is known as caldera. Children, after knowing the structure of volcano, let us go through with the types of volcano. Even volcano has types. What are the types in volcanoes? Volcanoes are classified into three types, that is active volcanoes, dormant volcanoes and extinct volcanoes. What do you mean by that? Let us study. First one, active volcano. Volcanoes which constantly eject lava, gases, ashes, etc. are known as active volcanoes. The word itself will say that it is active. There are about 600 active volcanoes in the world. An example is Mount Etna in Italy and St. Helens in USA. Mauna Loa in Hawaiian Islands. And let us move to next one, that is dormant volcanoes. These volcanoes have not erupted in recent historical period. They are regarded as sleeping volcanoes and may become active at any time. Examples of dormant volcanoes are Mount Kilimanjaro of Africa and Mount Vesuvius. Though regarded as active, is actually rated as dormant because there has been no major eruption since 1944. Many other volcanoes in Philippines and Japan are examples of dormant volcanoes. In the picture, you can see the dormant volcanoes. It was active and it is called sleeping volcanoes because it may erupt. It may erupt again but it has not erupted for a long time. Next we are going to move to extinct volcanoes. These are the types which have not erupted in the present geological period and not likely to become active again. That is why it is called extinct volcanoes. Example for extinct volcanoes are Mount Aconcagua in South America and Mount Kenya in Africa are the examples for extinct volcanoes. We can also see Arthur's Seat in Scotland, Ngorongoro in Tanzania. Dear children, let us know what are the effects of volcanoes. Do you think they are helpful and they are very dangerous or something like that? So let us learn the effects. Volcanic eruptions are sudden force, also termed as constructive forces, which have a number of constructive effects on the surface of the earth. The main constructive effects of volcanoes are it forms landforms. Numerous types of landforms are created due to cooling and solidification of magma below the earth's surface and lava on the earth's surface. The landforms created on the earth's surface are called extrusive landforms. These include volcanic plateaus, volcanic mountains, and volcanic plains. Volcanoes also create plains. These plains are vast and smooth, formed by extensive volcanic flooding from volcanic centers. The Western Victorian Plains in Victoria, Australia, are the finest examples of volcanic plains. And Cathedral Lake, during repeated eruptions of summit of volcano, may be blown up. In its place, a large depression called caldera is formed. These are generally formed when the magma chamber is no longer able to emit sufficient magma, and this results in collapse of a cone either partially or wholly. This depression eventually gets filled with water and forms a lake. Example: Crater Lake in USA is a caldera lake. It is about 10 kilometers wide and it is the deepest lake in the USA. Our next beautiful effect of volcanoes is hot spring. The movement of magma in the interior of the earth heats up the underground water partially around magma chambers. When water turns into steam, it gushes up to the surface. Hot springs, also known as thermal springs, contain many dissolved minerals. Since hot springs are a rich source of sulfur, they are considered good for health, especially for curing certain skin diseases. Sulphur hot springs at Manikarnan in Kulu Valley of Himachal Pradesh are the greatest tourist attraction. And the next one is geysers. A geyser is a fountain of hot water and steam that escapes when underground water comes into contact with hot volcanic rocks. For example, the Old Faithful geyser in Yellowstone National Park is very famous, which is there in USA. During an eruption, its water temperature at the vent has been measured at 95.6 degrees Celsius. Children, you have understood what are the positive benefits of volcanoes. Let us come to the other side. When the volcanoes erupt, they destroy life and property, and it also destroys the agricultural fields. And then the huge clouds which is formed after eruption, it of volcanoes causing heavy rains which result in floods and landslides. Volcanoes also emit poisonous gases which pollute the environment and causes health issues. Explosive volcanoes in ocean islands are followed by high tsunami waves. They flood the area and destroy the property, people, animals and crops. These are the negative shades of volcano. Whatever it is a beautiful nature. We have to accept it. Children, after this, let us know the distribution of volcanoes. Volcanoes occur in many regions of the world, including islands, young mountain ranges, and plateaus of the continents. Most important regions are, it is classified into four importantly, that is the Circum-Pacific Belt or Pacific Ring of Fire. Coastal margins of Pacific Ocean consist of Philippines, Japan, USA, Central America and South America. The next one is Mid-Atlantic Belt, which includes Iceland, West Indies. And next one is Mid-Continental Belt, which includes Italy, Spain, France, Greece, Turkey, etc. And then fourth one is important islands. They are Hawaii and Indonesia islands. Before I just end this session, let me give the details of the Circum-Pacific Belt. The volcanoes occur near earthquake belts around the young fall mountains. The Circum-Pacific Belt is also called the Pacific Ring of Fire. You know why? Because Over 80% of the total number of active volcanoes are concentrated in this region. Among these are included 40 active volcanoes in Andes, over 100 in Philippines and 70 in Indonesia and 40 in Japan. Hence it is called Pacific Ring of Fire. Children, before I end the session, let us recall what we have learned today. We have understood the meaning of lithosphere and different layers of the interior of the earth, like the crust, mantle and the core, and then we have understood the meaning of rock and the formation of rocks. Rocks are classified into majorly into two types, that is primary rocks and secondary rocks. Igneous rocks are called primary rocks and sedimentary rocks are called secondary rocks. And under igneous rocks, you have understood there are two types, intrusive and extrusive rocks. And then afterwards, sedimentary rocks, sandstone, shale, rock salt, gypsum, limestone and coal are different examples for sedimentary rocks. And metamorphic rocks, they are the hardest one, and diamond, gneiss, quartzite, marble, etc. are examples for it. And you have also understood the meaning of volcano and types of volcano and the structure of volcano. Dear children, before I conclude this lesson, let us see the assignment. I have given two pictures for you. You have to draw this. The one is layers of the earth. Please draw this diagram in your assignment homework book. And then next one is you should also draw this structure of volcano, and as it is what it is given, please mark the label in the same way and also explain volcano. Okay, volcano and its type. Children, I hope you have understood the lesson and it was very interesting, and little more interesting topics will be carried in next classes. If you have any queries, please put it in a WhatsApp group and try to complete your notes by writing down recap. What is mentioned in the recap, please write down that as your notes. Additional notes will be given if it is required. Have a nice time, children. Thank you. Let's meet again in the next class.